album
Yes.
in full for the not the first time, you've done it once before last night.
We played last night in a sort of warm up for this thing today. It was very good. It's a nice record. It's like, because in every band, when you release an album, you'd love to play it live, but then that's just, no one will go and see that because no one knows the album yet.
True.
So no one ever gets that chance. But so we've never played the record in order, and it's great. It sounds really nice, and it's a proper record.
Did you enjoy the experience? Did you approach it with a certain amount of trepidation?
It was just great. We rehearsed for a few days. There was about two.
Hold on a second. Turn down the monitors.
Yeah, this is feeding back
because
quite badly.
you're feeding back. We don't need to hear ourselves that badly.
Yeah,
I do.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. There was only a couple of songs that we hadn't played for a long time. You know, like maybe The Fear and Last Laugh of the Laughter we probably hadn't played for about 12 years, something like that. So it was really nice to play those ones again. And it's also good that we put big songs in like Why Is It Always Raining Me and Driftwood. They're kind of right in the middle of the record. So it's kind of it changes those songs into just being songs again rather than being those big things. You know?
Yeah. Because I mean, it was a really, really bloody massive record. It was a huge album, and I remember I talked to you about it once, and you said there's this kind of era. There's a time in your life when it just got so big, and you said it was like I was plated in gold. It was like everything just went right. Every song was a huge hit. Every performance went perfectly. That must have been really a bizarre experience.
It's kind of off-putting. Because usually everything goes shit. It does.
That's a very Glasgow thing. Very Glasgow.
I mean, therein lies the song, Why Does It Always Rain on Me? Most things in life are kind of the best laid plans, but then sometimes that magic weird thing happens, and then it's like everything lines up for a minute. It's like when you're watching, you ever sit in your car and watch indicators going and they all suddenly flash at the same time, just for about a split second, and then they all go out of sync again.
I got you.
It's a bit like that. And then, so it all went in sync and then it all, but it's lovely, you've got to appreciate it when it happens.
What are your memories of that time? Can you remember it, or do you kind of remember like TV appearances and sort of concerts almost like a member of the audience?
Kind of a lot of it's a bit of a blur, but you remember specific moments, like when The Man Who Went to #1 for the first time. We were playing at V, and we found out on the way there, and that was kind of like a bit. We're in the back of the bus, and it was like, oh man, that was a brilliant moment. And things like meeting amazing people, like meeting McCartney for the first time, and you know, all those things kind of stick out, but a lot of it kind of just goes into a bit of a blur.
It's very, very different to Good Feeling, the first album. It's like this colossal, you obviously know both records, if you don't, you should. It's a massive stylistic jump, and the songwriting is so much more evolved, and the production and the sound and the playing, everything, it's like this quantum leap.
It's interesting though, because like Writing to Reach You was written at the same time as The Line Is Fine, the same as like half an hour before it or after it, I'm not sure. But we weren't ready to do Writing to Reach You in Good Feeling. We weren't even ready to play it because it was too difficult to play.
Really?
Yeah.
What, so you had to wait to get good enough to do the songs as good as they needed to be?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And also, I think Nigel Godrich was a big part of that kind of shift from the kind of more straight ahead rocky thing that went on in Good Feeling to the kind of more textured, layered thing that was happening in The Man Who. So sonically it was very different, and that was a lot to do with Nigel.
Was it easy? Was it easy to record? Because it's such a finely drawn album, you know?
Well, we went with the first record. We were in one studio and we did it in one place, and then that was it. But with The Man Who, we started in France with Mike Hedges, who'd just done the Manic Street Preachers.
Hard life.
I know, it's tough.
Yeah. And it was really good because the World Cup was happening at the same time. We went to see Scotland play Brazil. Remember, in Paris, we got on the train and went there just for a day trip.
The last time Scotland were in a tournament.
Yeah. A long time ago. And then we went to London, and then we went to Mayfair Studios, Rack Studios, Abbey Road Studios, Whitfield Street Studio. We did it, and it was all bitty. It made me think, oh God, this is not going to sit together, it's not going to glue. It was absolutely it was so chaotic and random
Really? Because I mean, what? So you weren't confident in it?
We weren't until I think it only really all came together or we felt it came together when we actually mastered it in Abbey Road, and we that was when we were kind of sitting outside on the steps, kind of going, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think we've got a record kind of thing.
But even when we released The Man Who, all the reviews were total shit.
No.
Is this on the radio, by the way? This is not going on the radio, is it? This is just here. I can swear, can't I?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But the reviews were utter shit, right? We all because you put your record, you think it's good. We really like this, and we got all the newspapers and we laid them all out, and it was just like shit. 2 stars, 1 star.
I mean,
shit.
across the board, we were in his
horrible.
house, in his front room, just looking at them all and going, oh, I think I've got a good one. Oh no, it's bad again. Sorry.
And that was that, and we thought, and then the guy from the NME, we did an interview with them, and it was a nice interview, and at the end of the interview he's like, I mean, I really love the record, but it's commercial suicide. And I was like, oh.
Well, why did you say that?
So we thought they were having crisis meetings at the record company, the management and all that before this record came out.
Seriously, what? There was people just, right, okay, we like the band, we think it's a good record, but everyone else thinks it's rubbish.
Yeah. But they didn't know how they didn't know how to sell us as well, because we never fitted with anything. Because we know now that when you hear a band on the radio, almost every band is trying to they sculpt themselves to get on the radio.
It's true.
They listen to what's current, and they sort of try and adapt to it. But we never ever were that clever. And we just wrote the songs that we wrote, and they sounded like they sounded, and so we put that out. And I remember having a funny meeting with our A&R guy, Andy McDonald. And Andy McDonald is a brilliant man. He signed The Laz, Billy Bragg, Portishead, The Beautiful South, The House Martins. He signed, if you look at those bands, they're all kind of odd bands,
But good bands.
They're great bands, but no record companies wanted to have to sign them. But he saw something in all these bands that no one else saw. Anyway, I had this conversation with him about what the third single was going to be. And I was like, why does it always rain on me? And he's like, why? And I was like, well, because it's going to be Wimbledon, and it always rains. It always rains in Wimbledon, and we can just get them to play it and then people will hear it. Then that's how desperate we were. It was horrible. And then it didn't rain in Wimbledon. But then we went and did Glastonbury, and it rained at Glastonbury, and that's the magical sort of strange moment where something flipped. And
I mean, I'm not saying it's kind of good to sort of seek revenge, but there must have been a certain amount of like, ha! To everybody that said it wasn't very good.
No.
Oh really? Isn't it? I'm on stage at Glastonbury. You're not.
Honestly, we didn't feel that at all.
Well, the thing was, we did that show at Glastonbury, and again, maybe it's being Scottish or something. We came off because it rained and everyone was like in the audience in their summer clothes, all the girls looking dead nice, and everyone looked like drowned rats after that, and we all were like, oh shit.
We've ruined everybody's weekend.
Yeah, we came off, got on the bus, everybody thought it was rubbish, the show was crap.
Really?
Yeah, we got home.
It's not.
Has it started?
It's not bloody raining, is it?
And we got home, but it actually was a good show. I saw it a little bit later, and it was the thing that flipped everything around, and then the next 3, 4, or 5 years was just a blur.
Did it change you?
No.
That experience, do you think?
No.
Because he's got a solid gold jumbo jet out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, did you find yourself kind of being pulled in different directions? Because that level of attention and that level of fame and success it's difficult, I guess.
I think it's more the kind of just amount of work, the amount of touring, the amount of shows, and the amount of travelling. That kind of gets to you after a while. I mean, went straight off the back of the tour of the Man Who and took it 1 day off, and then went in and started making the Invisible Band.
What did you do with your 1 day off?
Had a wee snooze.
Got married. No. I proposed to my soon-to-be, well, 10 years later, wife. We were engaged for like 10 years because of the touring so much.
Busy.
Yeah.
It's that volume of stuff just does make you just a bit. It kind of weirds you out a little bit, just being away from home all that time. But generally, you stay pretty much who you are. I mean, we've the same four guys that have been mates for 26 years now, which is ridiculous. That's a quarter of a century.
I mean, yeah, because we mentioned that before, and it's very nearly the 20th anniversary of your debut album.
Well, it is. It was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday,
yeah.
God,
Yeah.
how does that make you feel?
It's funny because it feels like time is just this elastic thing. It doesn't really exist. In a lot of the songs we write or we perform, there's a thing about time pops up a lot. I'm just interested in that it can feel like 10 minutes can feel like 10 years, you know, or 10 years can feel like 10 minutes, depending on what you know, and why is that? So, in a sense, 20 years ago feels like ages ago. You like 100 years ago. And in another sense, when I look at the guys beside me on the stage every night, I think nothing has changed. We're still these four idiots from Glasgow, and we have this nice love affair with one another, and we complement one another in a nice way.
Strangely,
nice.
Andy and Neil went for a walk the other day, just by coincidence, and it ended up outside the house that we all lived in when we first moved to London.
Really?
Up at Manor House. And Andy said it was the weirdest bit of nostalgia because it felt simultaneously like a lifetime ago, and like I just walked out the door and was going back. It was like immediate. So that's time's funny like that.
You both look very well, don't they? They're ageless. Oh my God, is it properly raining?
Sorry.
What else is happening? Come on, in the Travis world. So obviously it's great to look back at this record. It's fantastic you're playing it for us today. Some other shows doing this album, and then what?
Writing the next record.
Right.
So, and it's always, the nice thing is it's always the same. It's always like sit at the end of the bed and just doodle, and maybe something happens, maybe nothing happens, and you just have to hope that something happens. And that's the way it's always been. And when I sit down, I never know, still don't know how to do it. Still, I can do this. This is easy. You can go and talk. But
that's what I do for a living. It's very, very hard.
But when you sit and you don't know, like it's like starting all over again. I always thought if you wrote a nice song, that's where you would start off when you went for the second, the next one, and it would get better. But you just go straight back to the start again. You're like, oh, back to the Stone Age. You're like, and then you make a computer eventually, and you're like, wow. And then you go back to the Stone Age again, and you start all over again.
But when you get back together in a studio or a rehearsal studio, you are the same people, you feel the same way, as excited and as scared and nervous as you've always been.
Yeah, that doesn't really change. And you also kind of recognise that feeling of a song being a good one. You know, it's like, oh, this is great. And equally, you know when it's not. You know, well, we won't be doing this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that feeling is kind of, that's the addiction. That's what keeps you doing it, is that feeling of, oh, this is great. You know?
So, I think there's still songs out there to be written. And when you listen to the Beatles and all these older bands, it seems like they got to the song mine, before anyone else did. If you look at all the songs like the Stones and the Beatles, they all went in and they just plundered it. And then as the years go by, like these types of songs that are ageless and timeless, which is the ones I'm trying to find, they're getting less and less. I mean, turn on your radios. When was the last time you heard something that truly was like a spiritual moment? You have to stop the car and go, oh my God. I mean, Katy Perry's brilliant, but how many times have you stopped the car and gone, oh my God, that was an epiphany, I've just had you know? And I think I love all pop music. I think it's great, but I think it's so much production involved now, and it's like magic and like shiny and plasticky, and there's not a lot of substance in the heart of it. It's all surface at the moment, and I don't think anyone's writing from their tummies anymore. Then that's where I like to hear songs anyway.
And so, record. When would you like to have a record out?
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay. You wait that long? It's got to be sooner, dude.
All right, you're quite impatient.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Brad and Dougie from Travis.
Cheers.
Guys, enjoy tonight. Thank you very much for that.
Bye.